Now you're live.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's going on? So, as we normally do, we're going to start off this discussion with just some current topics, what's going on right now, what's going on in the markets, things like that. We actually got something new we're going to start doing, too. I'll let Courtney talk about it.
Hey, good afternoon, you guys. So this weekend, we are giving some free giveaways. So stay tuned, be engaged. At the end of this hour, we will be asking some questions to see who's the first person to get the answer right. If you get that answer right, we will DM you for instructions on how to get this free gift that we're giving. So yeah, stay tuned, you guys. All right, so what else are we going to talk about today?
We get into it. I'm going to actually turn my video on real quick.
How was your guys' week?
Good. How are you tonight?
It's a great week. Good. I got my mask here, but you know, I'm trying to be as safe as possible, you guys. But you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, they started to open stuff up, so we'll have to see what's going to happen. But you know, they need to start opening up slowly. They need to start doing something so we can get it back out here and make this money. But so before we get started, were there any questions from last week or any topics that somebody read about that they wanted to have some clarification on? Anything, questions about what the market's doing, anything like that? As those questions are coming in, we're going to start talking. So I actually just read an article in Forbes, and actually it's posted on Fire if you want to check it out. It's talking about how China is no longer going to be the go-to for manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
Like we know, everything, all the products, most of the stuff we get is made in China. That's no longer going to happen because of this situation that went on with the corona and all that. So what they're saying is the new spot for manufacturing is going to be Mexico.
Damn.
So why is that important? First of all, it's close to us, you know, being close to the United States. Second of all, it's underdeveloped, and we can have very easy access to Mexico. So, again, you want to start putting that on your mind now, because if you can get into Mexico and start investing now, when that happens, and it's going to be a few years, but there's already some big companies. If you read the article, you'll see there's already some big companies that are already there that are doing manufacturing there, big companies like Amazon and things like that. So, so it's just going to continue to grow.
So I'm thinking right now, so if that was to happen, how would that affect? That would have a drastic effect on our economy by it being so close.
Yeah.
It's gonna
you know what I'm saying? But I mean, you just said it was so close, like you did. So
what's the pros and the cons?
Yeah, I'm thinking the cons would definitely be instead of I have to go to China, I can just go across this border.
Shipping costs.
Shipping costs. I'm just even for workers, like
workers. Yeah.
I'm thinking about how would that take a lot of jobs from America to? Because again, we're in Houston. How long does that drive to the border?
6 hours.
6 hours.
Yeah.
He's telling me 6 hours drive. Hey, I just thought about that. That's crazy.
Especially if you have a go there.
I think overall, it boosts a lot. Just like relations with Mexico, it boosts the economy because like now you're not having to pay the shipping costs. You're not having to pay like the money coming in from over. Like, you're gonna get the merchandise a lot faster now because you're not having to wait. If we're going, all you have to do is wait for Border Patrol at this point. I mean, the border to let it come in. You don't have to wait for them to send it from China. And then, because I actually have a few buddies that did logistics. They would send stuff to China back and forth and whatnot. And they said the hardest part sometimes is just getting the ship out. You know what I'm saying? And then once the ship is out, it takes, however many days to get there. And then let's say you forgot to put something on the ship. Then it takes another X amount of days to get it back over here. So it just...
Like 2 weeks.
I think overall it would help, and honestly, I know that for sure that China, I studied abroad in China for a good bit, and China had actually already been trying to get out of the manufacturing industry, and they were trying to push everything to Turkey and India, which was what they were teaching in school, and in the Chinese classes or whatever, and but like now, like why go all the way to Turkey and India if you could just go to Mexico? I mean, there's so much undeveloped land, There's just like. I just feel like overall it would be a genius idea, but I mean.
So I'm gonna switch it. Anthony, he said he got some big news. Warren Buffett sold all of his airline stake. Have you guys heard?
Oh, that's huge, right? So we know with airlines, what's going to happen to the airlines. If Warren Buffett sold his,
that's what I'm saying. So typically, everybody follows the great guru Warren.
Right. So there you go.
But see, that's why I can't see that because I'm thinking it's going to have to come back up. I'm thinking. After this, I know millennials and they're gonna be flying everywhere they can get.
But you know the new industry, and I've gotten a lot of emails about investing in them, is the private jets.
Yeah.
The private jets. So you can get on those, almost like it's like a timeshare, where you purchase hours on a private jet, and you don't have to worry about being around a whole lot of people. Wow. You don't have to worry about sicknesses. That's what's going to grow. And these commercial airlines are going to start declining.
Well, you heard it here first.
Wow, yeah, you heard it here first.
Hey,
that's great. Yeah.
And if you email us, and we're going to be saying this throughout, if you email us or DM us with your email, I can send you some of the different jet companies that are actually taking investment right now.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
That's big.
I'm going to send you my email. I'm going to need that.
I feel like the airline industry, because regardless, even if you do open, I mean, how long is it going to take till they can open back up to start traveling overseas? You know what I'm saying?
For people to feel safe.
For international.
That's what it really is. Because they can travel all they want. It's the customers who's paying.
Yeah.
Are we all going to feel? I don't think a lot of Americans are going to feel comfortable flying or traveling until we find some type of vaccine. And I'm not trying to get too in deep into this corona, but I do think the airlines won't come back up until the vaccine.
Festivals not even like events, festivals,
that's right.
Sporting events.
That's right.
There's nowhere for people to go. So I mean, what are you doing?
That's why I understand why I'm moving.
Somewhere you could drive.
Yeah.
Right. But and then they said with the airlines, what they were talking about before, I read another article before saying how are they going to practice social distancing, and I read an article that's saying they're going to like the middle seat is going to be empty, one on each end.
Oh, they're going to put the shells, the guards down and have maybe one seat turned to have the back facing. They're thinking about creative ways to
kind of like on trains.
Yeah, sometimes on trains and first class. Some of those first class they don't interact with each other. Those first class ones, the little tubes, or it's very cubicle like exactly. So,
and that's going to make the airlines go up because that's more money they have to invest. Yeah. Less tickets they can sell because before they were just packing them in.
See, sometimes I think about what Warren Buffett is doing. Sometimes I'm thinking he might just be doing this to
manipulate.
Yeah, because he's so strong with his. You know what I'm saying? I heard after 9/11, he kind of created this thing, this insurance thing that made people now get like some type of 9/11 insurance.
Oh yeah.
That wasn't ever even in play before 9/11. I heard Warren Buffett, and the words that he said had a lot to do with what they're now all like Mercedes domes and the Georgia dome. They now have to get a 9/11 type of insurance in order to cover it.
Oh wow,
major.
That's ridiculous. So that's what we've been talking about. You gotta get creative because there are gonna be so many new industries popping up, new places to invest. The old ways are gonna start going away. So you gotta get creative, start doing things. One thing, real talk though, y'all, is action. I mean, you can sit here and listen to us and read books and do all that stuff, but you gotta get real. Everything goes back to what we consider a new normal, and it's maybe you're back on your job or your malls are open, you're having a good time. And then bam, something happens next time it's worse, and you never prepared, right? This is real talk. And it's not about getting rich. Getting rich and creating wealth is later. Do something that family does not have to worry if something happens, if you lose your job. That's what's important here. That's what we're talking about. Securing your future, something you can control for your family, right? Your kids, your mom and dad. That's the first thing. And that's what we're talking about, develop a business. Like we just talked about Mexico. If you're in manufacturing like our boy Marcel, if he can get his watches made there even cheaper, shorter lead time, that's going to be huge for his business.
E-commerce. That's going to be huge. He'll save so much money.
Yeah.
Money and time, which is his biggest obstacle. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody's
money and time.
If you're into e-commerce right now, if you're into shipping anything overseas and you're trying to move it to Mexico, you probably want to look at it. Because it would definitely save you a lot of money and a lot of time.
Or if you know any family members or anybody over there, even if you don't want to invest, just start asking the right questions. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Just notice the wave, the trend.
Notice the trend.
Just notice the trend.
Buy some land, if you can, take a couple visits.
I want to just mention something. Anthony, thank you, Anthony, again. He just dropped an article from CNBC. He said he figured that the amount of debt they would have to borrow, that they will be fully focused on paying the debt down versus returning to the shareholders. Shareholders is the reason why. And I read an article 2 weeks ago that they call this the balance sheet recession, which is different from the last recession we hit, which was due to mortgages. This recession, most companies are going to be focused on repaying this debt that they are.
Yeah.
So meaning they're not going to have money to put in for growth for their company or paying back their shareholders. Their main focus is going to be getting out of debt. That's what it's a balance sheet recession, what somebody called. And I was like, that made sense to me.
And what does that mean? They're gonna hire less people.
They're gonna hire exactly, and they can't. And like I was telling one of my business partners, you can't expect any business or economy to grow if I'm just focusing on paying back debt. If that's my whole, so that means, and then right now you haven't heard of nobody getting fired, but after I'm giving them 6 months, you're gonna hear a lot of layoffs.
This is real life. I mean, honestly,
real life.
If you just think about the airline, how like the ripple effect, like with the airline industry, once that kind of starts, like you think about all airports. You know how many jobs airports provide. You know, you know how much like TSA and all those employees are going to be all area. Like think also oil and gas. So we knew that gas. I mean, oil, the price of oil went down to like negative $35 a few weeks ago, right? So you start thinking about it, and the airline companies are always some of the biggest buyers for oil for gas. So guess what? Now there's less demand.
And they're just sitting on oil.
Exactly.
That's the problem. They're literally sitting on too much oil.
That's right.
So you start thinking about it. Like I was looking at some documents. I mean, at some stuff the other day. They said once you patch one of these oil wells, you can't really get that back up and running. So they laid all these people off. So it's going to be a very interesting time, like with oil and gas. Because I feel like if they patch up these wells where they put all the oil from, after a certain point, how do I say this? They're not going to be able to access oil anymore, like the way they were accessing it. So I really want to see how interesting it's going to be. Like which wells will they patch? How are they going to patch them? Are they going to because it seems like oil and gas is not going to be the move.
Could this be the end of oil and gas?
I don't know.
What do you guys think? Y'all let us know in the comments.
Could this be the end of oil and gas? I mean,
might be part of the plan.
It might be part of the plan. It might have just expedited just like that.
And you're talking about part of the plan, but I think it's so funny how like everything's kind of falling together. So like, let's think about it. Like the biggest cities that have transportation, right? So you got to think about Houston. They've been trying to make this high-speed train to Dallas, right?
Yeah.
Washington D.C. Me and Z were talking about. Z's actually the one who kind of told me they approved it, but they're going to run that Elon Musk
bullet train
from D.C. to Baltimore to New York. So like, think about it, like, and they're not using gas.
And that's why they moved. That's why Amazon went to Virginia.
That's right.
The sole purpose when they was going on this tour of scouting who they wanted to go, they came out here to Austin. They came to Seattle. They went to Philly, New York. But then once the Maryland governors approved that Elon Musk bullet train, boom, Amazon can be. And at first when they went, they was going to be in Queens, New York, and Virginia. They pulled out of Queens because Queens was like, y'all not really giving us no tax benefits.
Yeah.
So they pulled out of Queens. Virginia, Alexandria, they stayed. And at the end of the day, what the world is going, I ride the bullet train that gets me, that shaves down 4 hours to 30 minutes.
That's right.
And because it's Zoom call, I don't need you to come to the office once of every 2 years.
You'll see your boss, yeah.
You know, like, that makes sense. I can go set location up on the East Coast, have access to top clients in New York, New Jersey, Philly, Delaware, Baltimore, DC.
Yeah.
And have one here as Jane. So when you think about it, I'm like, is all of this, you know what I'm saying? Is it coincidence?
Yeah.
Is the question. Is it a coincidence or is it planned? Like,
Well,
we won't get into
we don't get into it too much, but we will. That's the nugget.
no conspiracy theories.
And we're going to talk about this.
Anthony's been very interactive. And he actually I appreciate that. Anthony, he said that he feels that the price of oil is going to remain this way through 2021. And honestly, I'm kind of on the same boat. A lot of people we're trying to buy oil, but I just tell people, honestly, I'm waiting for a second dip.
Yeah.
Because like the way the markets work, they always take 2 dips, you know.
Yep.
So I'm making a second one.
Fake out, yeah.
We'll see.
And then we kind of went on a little mini fake out because like I looked at my stocks and it kind of went up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, once everybody got that 1200.
Oh yeah, it went up. I saw that. Yeah.
Everybody got the 1200.
Yeah.
It went up. You know what I'm saying? That's a fake out, like you said.
Yeah.
So 52 fake out. That's a pump fake. A pump fake right there. Don't fall book.
Yeah. So
This wholesaling.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about this wholesaling today, one-on-one. Z's got some good stuff. I don't know if you guys can read it.
we're gonna bring the board up a little closer. But before we enter that, pay attention to this. Like Courtney said, we're gonna We're gonna ask a question at the end, right? And then whoever answers the question, or the first person to answer it, right, we're gonna give them a giveaway, a book. And we're gonna continue to do that. It's gonna be different things. Today it's just gonna be a book. And then anything on this that you need, I'll keep saying, drop a DM. Like if you need explanations further, if you need more lists, you need more information on what we're talking about, DM us and DM us with your email, and that way we can send you that information. We're going to go ahead and move this table out of the way so y'all can see that a little better. All right, so last week we had covered just wholesaling 101. Hope everybody can see that. Go down.
Bring it this way. Is it this way? Oh no, it might be that way. Yeah, there.
All right, we gotta fix the legs. There we go. All right, does everybody see it? All right, there we go. Let's bring the back leg up. There you go. All right, there. That's good. It's good. It's good. All right, so I'm gonna stand on this side because I'm right-handed. So last week we talked about wholesaling 101. It was just a general brief summary of it. Let's adjust this a little bit. Turn that light on for me, guys, so we can see.
Turn it on?
Yeah, it's kind of dark.
Oh, perfect.
It's better?
Yeah.
Because I was saying it makes it a little glare. And let us know, and can you guys see everything all right? Can you see it? Can you see this board all right? Can you see everything on it? Give us a thumbs up. All right, let me get my pointer. I'll just use my hand. All right, so last week we talked about the steps of wholesaling. So today we're going to get into the first step, which is finding a property. So like the little picture that we had last time, you had you right here, and the you, like I said, put your name in there, and then find the property. That's the most important part when we're dealing with wholesaling, is finding that property. Again, if you can't see it or you can't hear me, just let us know in the feed, and then that way we can adjust things. All right, so foreclosure list. This is your first place to go and find properties. And this really is geared towards wholesaling, but even if you're a flipper, if you flip houses, you buy, rehab, and sell, this is important too, because if you find your own properties, if you have a team, that you have a guy that's just looking for properties for you, you get your properties for cheaper, which means more profit for you at the end of the day. So here's one. It's called foreclosure.com, and obviously all these things are going to be digital, right? And we'll get into some of the physical parts of it that you can do. Foreclosure.com, it's big. It basically covers all the United States. You can get on there, type in your area, even by zip code. You can find out, houses that are foreclosure. Now, this foreclosure.com, you have to pay for. It's a paid site. There's going to be some other ones that we're going to discuss. Actually, all the rest of the list, some of the free ones, just DM us with your email and we'll send you the rest of that. But this is another one, and I've actually... Foreclosure.com, I know a lot of people use it. I've never bought a property on this. But Hubzoo.com, I've actually bought a property on Hubzoo.com. So Hubzoo basically is a bidding. You basically bid on properties. They put foreclosures in. Again, it's nationwide. It's a government program like HUD. And they also have other properties that are by banks. So it's a huge platform. You actually can bid on the property. They have like a week. And you place your bid. You got to watch it. Somebody outbids you. You can set automatic bids, things like that. It's good, sometimes people bid too high, so you really have to kind of watch it and monitor it, and they overpay for the properties. And unfortunately, some of them you can't see, right? Some of them you can. Some of you actually go to the property and see them. But if you're doing investments, in different states, you're not going to be able to see them unless you have somebody go out there to that specific area and go and see them. So you got to be careful with the Hubzoo. But it's a good platform just to look at. You can get some information on it. You can see, how the process works on the online auctions. And like I said, there's going to be some other ones that we talked about that you can get on, DM us, and we'll give you that more information on that. Now, here's a big one. A lot of people talk about this. Abandons, or they call it driving for dollars. And basically, what does that mean? You drive around different neighborhoods, whatever zip codes that you think hot in your area, whatever places you're trying to target. You basically, like I said, driving for dollars. You drive around, and how do you indicate? And I think there's a video on that we posted a while ago that how to indicate an abandoned property or even a property that looks like it's going into foreclosure. And most times it's distressed, right? That's a new word you'll learn, distressed property. And what does that mean? The grass isn't cut. You drive by there 1 week, you drive by there another week, and it's the same. The grass is longer. There's a lot of mail piling up. There's a lot of newspapers in the front of it. People aren't taking care of it. The roof is all messed up. And that's how you know, okay, these people really aren't taking care of their property. So if they can't afford to take care of it, most times they can't afford to pay the mortgage either. That's a good indicator. And then also when you see that, you can find if there's a lot of papers and stuff piling up, then most times it's abandoned, right? So when the property is abandoned, that's a good opportunity for an investor because they either walked away. It may not be in foreclosure yet if you don't find it on one of these lists, but once they walk away from the property, eventually it's going to go to foreclosure. Or I bought one where the owner was old, he passed away, the kids had it, they weren't really doing anything with it. And they really didn't know how to get rid of it. It was in bad shape. So they just left it sitting. I was able to drive by. I was able to, and that's another way I'll show you guys later if you DM us, how to actually search it on a government site where you can get the person's tax information, get their name, address. Sometimes when I talk about skip tracing, you get their phone numbers. And you just reach out to them. Look, I saw you got this property. Are you interested in selling it? And a lot of times, yes or no. You go through enough calls, you'll get some yeses on that. All right, so driving for dollars, you drive around, like I said, target zip codes, that's the best way. And if you have people on your team, one person on your team drive in one zip code, another person drive in another zip code, right? That way you can kind of multiply what you're doing. And you just, like I said, you create that list. You just have a little log book. You can do it on your phone. If you have a little tablet or something like that, you can do it on that. But log it. All right, I drove by, 5102. The grass wasn't cut. You come back next week. Oh, I see a bunch of papers in there. Indication this is abandoned. So you want to put a check next to that one. That's one of the properties that you're going to look up, right? You don't want to look up every property because you see the grass is long, obviously, because, you could be wasting your time. Maybe they just didn't cut the grass. Maybe they're on vacation. You know what I mean? So that's not a good indicator. You have to drive by usually a couple times. Unless you drive by the first time and it's just like, the property is just like, really distressed. Like, you can tell they ain't doing nothing to it. Ain't nobody lived in it forever. And then okay, let me put a check mark next to that one. So that's the kind of system you have to create for yourself, whether it's every week, every couple days, but just keep tabs on it, keep records. And then once you find properties that you have a check next to, I say a check, those are the ones you want to actually research. That you go to the next step. So what is that? Once you find the property, it's something that's called a skip trace if it's abandoned property, or even if it's not abandoned property. Basically, what is a skip trace? A skip trace is you're basically, you provide, there's services like Skip Genie is one of them. That's the one I use. That's why I'm plugging that one. There's many others. Again, you DM us. We'll give you some more sites of that. They're paid. You have to pay for them. So basically what you do, you put in the address in a skip trace. And what they do is they give you the telephone numbers based on the last time that person lived in that house. They give you telephone numbers, addresses. And the beautiful thing about Skip Genie, which I don't think other ones do, they give you close relatives. They give you brothers, sisters, cousins, if it was grandfather's house, they'll give you the kids. So it gives you a lot of information, and they give you a list of numbers, they give you addresses. So you can either go to those addresses, you can send some of your mailers to those addresses, you can call the people, the numbers that are on there. And I find if there's 10 numbers listed on them, maybe 5 of them are good. So it's a good ratio. And again, that's why I like Skip Genie. Once you call them, again, that's when you go through your little pre-plan, what you're going to say. You can call it a script or whatever. It doesn't have to be. You kind of want to, be comfortable with it. You want to be, like we talked about last time, you want to be human. You want to be, hey, I see you have abandoned property. I'm an investor. I like to buy properties. Maybe we can work out something. I can show you how you can make money and get rid of the property so you don't have to pay taxes on it anymore. Because if they still own the property, they're paying something on it. They're paying taxes. Or not, they're not paying anything, but it's still piling up against their credit. So, and that's a good way that you can convince them, or not convince them, but negotiate with them to find the property. You can also Google properties. A lot of times you'll see, you Google a property, you can sometimes get, it's not the best way, but it's just another option. You can find addresses, you can, find names of the last person that lived there, things like that. That's kind of last on the list, but it is an option. So here's some other ways to find properties. And social media. Now, that's becoming a big way. If anybody is on social media and they type in real estate, you're going to see a lot of wholesalers. You're going to see a lot of the big ones, the small ones that are starting to market properties. And they're mostly wholesalers themselves. But another way you can do it is if you get their information, if you get the person's first name and last name, and this is something we've been playing with. If you get their first name and last name, like say you go on Facebook, you can Google their first name and last name. I'm not Google, but, put it in the search in Facebook, and you may be able to come up with their feed. Okay, now you see, they live in Houston, or they live in D.C. I know this is probably the person, and you might have 5 or 6 people with that same name, in that area, you just call or you DM all 5 of them. You friend them, or you can just directly message them and say, look, I know you had a property. They're going to say, yeah, that's my property. I'm not interested. I am interested. Or that's not my property. Then you go to the next person. But that's a big thing right now. Social media. Obviously, we can't, go out as much as we used to. So that's going to be, even in the future, that's going to be a big way. Social media, online marketing, things like that. Another way to do it is what I've been doing when I first got started. What I learned was if you have business cards or flyers, when you're driving by these properties, even if you're not sure they're abandoned or not, you can drop a little flyer on there. You can drop a business card. And what I do is a little trick that I learned. It's called for referrals. So on the back of that flyer or on the back of that business card, what I would do is I say I give $250 to $500 for any property that you refer to me that I actually purchase, right? So maybe that's not their property, right? Maybe it's they're renting it, but they know the owner is not, doesn't want to take care of the property. They don't want the property anymore, and that's why it's in bad shape. They tell you, oh, here's the owner's information. Call them. You can call the owner and then get their information and ask them if they're willing to sell it to you, right? That's a referral. Sometimes we all know people that maybe lost their job. They want to get rid of their house. They're in foreclosure themselves or in the process of foreclosure, things like that. So people know people, and that's how you build your network. You can get other people that are actually working for you, not necessarily working for you, but they are working for you because they're looking for, because they want that $250 or $500. They want that little finder's fee. So if they see somebody with an abandoned property or they know somebody in foreclosure, they're going to call you, right? Versus calling somebody else because they know they're going to make a little something off of it. That's a little trick that I learned. Even when you're talking to people, you tell people, you break your conversation with that because people want to know all the time, when you're having casual conversations, they ask you what you do. Oh, I'm in real estate. Oh, really? Okay. People want to get into that. By the way, here's my card, and you point out to them, look, on the back it says, I give for referrals. If you know anybody that has a foreclosure, if you know anybody that has an abandoned property that they don't want, or probate, we'll get into more of those terms. Probate is when somebody dies, they left the property. We'll get more into that in another class. Another way is bandit signs, and that's a popular way. That bandit signs can get expensive because what happens to bandit signs is basically it's not legal to do bandit signs, even though they do them. So what they do is when you put a bandit sign, that's basically you'll see the signs in the middle of a major intersection. We buy houses. A lot of people spend a lot of money on bandit signs. But what happens is when the city rides by, if it's out there, they'll pull that sign up and throw it away. They have crews that actually just drive around and pull up bandit signs and throw them in the trash. So most times on your bandit signs, you're going to get that 1 week hit or maybe 2 weeks before the city comes by and it's trash after that. So, if you have that budget to do that, fine. That never really worked for me. I've done them a couple times. They didn't work. And it may have just been for me. I was like, man, it seems like I'm just spending money. But I've known other people that it have worked for. So, again, you have to kind of, once you get a good education, you got to figure out what your system would be. And that's the key. You have to create a system. And through these different classes that we're going to be giving you, that's where you have to start developing your system, right? And again, we can help you out with that. We're going to have other information, other things later on down the road that can help you create your own system as well. There's another thing called Google AdWords, and that's very expensive, especially if you're in an hot area that there's a lot of investors in. The Google AdWords can get, like I said, very expensive. And if you're not familiar with Google AdWords, basically anytime that, like, if you want a computer, you search in Apple computer, right, in Google, and it comes with all these different companies that sell Apple computers. That's an AdWords. So they paid for that to be shown, and the more you put down on a search on a keyword, the closer you are to the top of the page. And that's how the bigger companies are able to kind of outshine the smaller companies. They can be on the top of that page. So when you Google it, that first 1, 2, or 3, all of the research shows the first 3 are usually the ones that people call. They're not going to the second page, the third page. So everybody wants to be on that top page. So everybody bids. The bid gets higher. It could be started at $1, start out at $2. Next thing you know, it's at $20, $30. And every time somebody clicks on that and clicks on your ad, then that Google charges you. So you can get hundreds of people that are clicking on that. They could cost you a lot of money. So you really have to be either provide a service like Jay probably can help you out with that. Have a service that helps you do that, so you're not spending a lot of money. You can set a budget, and what happens is, especially in the higher areas, if you have a small budget, you're not going to really be seen. So that money is just kind of going you just throwing it in the trash basically. And all you need with that is a landing page. You don't need a full website. You just have to have a landing page that when somebody clicks on your ad, it sends you to that landing page. We buy houses, we're investors. It has your telephone number, your email, and most times has a little area, contact us, where you can fill out, and it directly sends you an email from there. That's a little more advanced, right? So basically in the beginning, it's all about the action like we talked about. You want to go through, do your own legwork, because what it's going to do is going to teach you at the same time. It's going to give you that information that you need. Okay, what do foreclosures look like? What are some of the prices in my area? So when you're researching yourself, you're going to get all that information. So you have that information ahead of time. That way, when you get to this point where you can do that, you're already well versed in what you need to pay, what properties to look for, what ad words you need to use, because that's important. If you just say, I buy houses, or we buy houses, is basically what people say. Then people that are just trying to sell their house regularly, they're going to contact you. You can get so many ad clicks that cost you money that really aren't relevant to what you're trying to do. So that's why it's important to really get well versed in, first of all, the process, and then, like I said, get somebody to help you out with that Google AdWords. So that's kind of generally finding properties. Next time, what's the next step? Building buyers list or building investors list. That's the next class we're going to get into, until we go through the whole system that I showed you guys last time. And it's basically, like I said, wholesaling 101. It's going to show you from start to finish how you wholesale properties. So in the meantime, what do? We're about 1:30, so we're running a little fast. We're going to have questions at the end if you do. So in the meantime, what do? You get on these sites. Even if you're not ready. So that's people think, I have to be ready before I start, looking at the... No, you prepare yourself. Preparation meets success, right? When you're prepared for something and the opportunity comes, that's when you become successful. Not when the opportunity comes and then you try to prepare, then you lose out on the opportunity. All right, that's very important to know that. And that's anything. You don't have to be in real estate. That's anything in life and business. So prepare first. So go through this. You can go through foreclosure.com, hubzoo.com. Look at them. Look what kind of properties are on there. Play with it. Even if you want to make a bid, make a small bid, just so you can see how you're supposed to do it. And if you're not really interested in buying the property, or you have a certain budget that's a small bid, usually somebody's going to outbid you anyway. So you're just, and if not, you just got a great property that you can wholesale to somebody else, right? For basically nothing. So it doesn't hurt to put a bid on some of these online biddings. And then again, you can start driving around. Look at what an abandoned property looks like. And like I said, some of the grass, other indications that I told you guys about. Start driving around in your area. I wouldn't go too far out. Just stay in your area. You don't need, even though gas is cheap, you still don't need to waste gas. Just drive around your areas that you are in all the time. We had this on another class, and we'll talk about that a little more, about creating your business. For some of the people that are new, creating your business. So all of these things, if you purchase any of these things, if you have internet service, if you're driving for dollars using gas, they're all tax write-offs once you create a business. So even if you haven't created your business yet, and you want to start getting into doing anything, even from buying the books, to educate yourself, they're tax write-offs. So even if you don't have a business yet, we can teach you later. Again, DM us with your email. We can teach you how to create your LLC, basically, I'm going to just talk about create your LLC. That's basically the best way to do it. Before that, you can start collecting all your receipts. And then once you create it, it's still a tax write-off. As long as it's within that year, right? Within that year that you start your business, you still can write it off. So that's basically, any questions on this so far? And there's always a little, Facebook has a delay on when you ask a question. So I'm going to wait to a minute or two as questions come in. If no questions come in, we're going to get into we're going to ask you guys a question. I'm going to put the board away and see who can win that free giveaway that we were talking about, that book. Any questions coming in, guys? Mm-hmm. No? Okay. So everybody is good? Thumbs up. Everybody's good with that? What we got so far? Okay, cool. And like I said, next week we're going to go through creating a buyer's list, things like that. So you actually, once you find the property, then you have somebody to sell it to, an investor that flips. And that's going to be for the next probably 3 or 4 more weeks. This is where we're going to go through the wholesaling process. Then after that, we'll go through the flipping process. That's kind of how the process works. People that are first getting into real estate, they're usually wholesalers because, again, it doesn't cost you a lot of money. And you can make a pretty decent income doing it. And then the next phase will be going into flipping properties. If that's a question. Okay.
Somebody said, what about the ones who have no car? This is I Am Tatum from Instagram.
Okay, if you want Vista Print, I don't mean to plug other companies. A lot of companies that you can even actually go on your computer. Sometimes they have templates to make cards. Just make a generic business card. Come up with a business name. If you don't have one, if you already have one, just come up with a business card. Nowadays, business cards cost $500 for like $20.
If that's too much, you can create your own.
Create your own. That's it.
Print it out, roll it up.
Yeah.
Put it in the thing. So.
And that's where we talk about the flyer. You can just make a flyer.
Yeah, flyer.
Don't worry about having to be perfect. Like, I don't have this, don't worry about that, guys. It's the action that's going to, if somebody's interested in selling their property and you drop a generic flyer on their door and they see it, they're going to call you. They don't really necessarily care how good it looks, right? Because you did the action, you went out there, that's when you're going to make the money. You're going to create the business for yourself. It's all about the action. So don't worry about being perfect. If you make a little generic card, you get some paper stock from Office Depot or something like that, you make your little generic business card. And again, put your business name, I buy houses, I help people get out of some of the things you put on your business card. I buy houses. I help people avoid foreclosure. I help people avoid their house going to auction for the tax sales. Again, and then on the back, I always put the referrals. So you just keep it general. Obviously, you can put your name on there and your contact information, whether that's email. A lot nowadays you can put your social media on there. That's big. Is that any other questions besides that?
No, he just said, if you ride the bus or you don't have a card, that's it.
You can walk. No, I know. I learned a little bit of my background. I went to Robert Kiyosaki School. He has a school for real estate investors, right? He said when he first started, what he did was find properties. When he jogged, he would jog in a certain area, so he could look at those properties where people weren't thinking he was weird, stopping his car, looking at them. He would just jog or ride his bike. So you don't have to have a car to do this. If it's on a neighborhood that you want to research, it's on the bus route. Hop off the bus, walk it, walk down the street, walk back up, hop back on the bus.
Drop off your flyers when you're doing it.
That's it, and hop back on the bus. You don't gotta have a car. Driving for dollars is, even though it says driving for dollars, it's really just looking at different houses. Yeah. So that's a good question, though. That's a good question because again, people think they hear the term driving. I should explain that better. When they hear driving, what if I have a car? But no, there's other ways to do it. That was it for the question?
That's it?
Okay, so I'm going to take this board down and I'm going to ask so somebody can get that free book.
You want to take the table book?
Yeah, we're trying to say
y'all let you start.
And anything you missed on this, it's going to be on the feed for Facebook and YouTube. So don't worry about it. We didn't write it all down. My board is, you couldn't see it as well. Don't worry about all that. It's actually going to be on there. And you can get that information again, or you can DM us. Look, you said this. I want a little clarification on that. DM us your email. We'll definitely get back to you. All right, so let me turn the board around. I don't know if put it over here. Oh, actually, guys, so the settings that we're in, we're actually in one of the houses that we flipped.
That's right.
So when you see that kind of looks like you guys are in a house. We are.
In this house we found via wholesale.
Yeah, via wholesale. Yeah. So, actually, Courtney, tell them a little bit.
Yeah, so I found this house via wholesale. I didn't go through the driving for dollars, although I have went knocking on doors. I have posted the signs. I put the work out there. So the way I found this property, I met a lady just through our conversation at my regular job, and throughout our conversation, she kept saying she had to go, and I was asking her where she was going. She said she had to meet somebody because she was losing her house, so she was meeting somebody to potentially buy this house from her. And I said, oh yeah, well that's something that I do. I'm an investor. She said, oh yeah, well I'm meeting somebody at 5. I said, well can I be there at 6 o'clock? Call Ross, and me and Ross went to go see the house. And looked like it could work. I already asked her what he was offering her, so we offered more money, and it was a win for everybody. She won, I won, Ross won. We all won off of this deal. So right.
So he did that right from his work.
Yeah, right from my job is just
talking.
Talking. You have to talk to everybody. Let them know what you do. Let them know you are an investor. And once you get knowledgeable on how to see deals, and that was the thing. I had trained my eyes and my brain to already try to see a deal before. I prepared myself. Correct. So if I was so that's why when we always say get knowledge, read these books, because I read somewhere or heard somebody say you walk past $1 million deal every day. Your brain, your mind is not trained to spot or identify that $1 million idea. But you see $1 million idea every day, but again, if we were trained to see that, it's like an archaeologist or somebody who has a trained eye to see something. It closes easy, and that's what happened to me. The deal kind of like fell in my lap, but it was my eyes were not trained to witness or identify that. She would walk in and walk right out.
It kind of goes through. There's no such thing as luck, because he made the luck happen. Because technically, the person walked in his in his office and he asked the right questions. I'm sorry, he asked all the right questions. He asked her like he said. He kept asking her, "Hey, so where are you going?" et cetera, et cetera. He found out the key words of property. Probably was a probate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Little
her
things
father
like that.
died. That's what she said. Her father died and left me a house.
So you start looking at it from that perspective, guys. Every single conversation you should be having should have a purpose. Say
that one more time for the back.
Every single conversation you're having needs to have a purpose, right? So my thing is I'm not the biggest TV person, right? Why? Because the only reason I will watch TV or watch a show is because I can have a conversation with somebody and relate to them. The only reason I watch sports, like football, is because I can go help somebody. What team do you like?
The icebreaker?
The icebreaker. Other than that, guys, your conversation, every single conversation you have needs to have a purpose behind it, because if not, you're wasting your time.
Make that this week's goal. I like that, Derek. Make this week's goal is everybody you have a conversation with, make it intentional to either add value or just make it a mission to gain something out of every conversation you have, no matter if it's mental, spiritually, physically, something that you should be adding and gaining from throughout that conversation. I think I'm going to make that plan.
Start, identifying the opportunities,
There you go, yeah.
It's crazy because, you have a mindset as a consumer or a seller. So, you know what I'm saying? Either you're buying or you're selling. So, either way, you got to look at things differently in order to spot those opportunities as they come up.
And take I'm not going to say take the plunge, but guys, just go out there and make it happen. Don't be scared. I'm going to tell you straight up, there's been multiple deals that have fallen between my fingers that I've actually had in the process, and because of fear, because I was oh my God, when is the economy going to crash? Little things like that, am I ready type deal, they slip through my fingers. Guys, don't be scared. At the end of the day, you have an organization of 4 guys here that are equipped to do this. Especially, I have properties. Corny actually found this one we're in right now. So guys, you have a team that you can kind of come relate to and be like you can say. That's why give us your email. We'll send you information. Hey, look at this and look at that. You have a group of people that, as long as the numbers make sense, we can get the property from you. So look, finding the buyer sometimes is probably the hardest part. We are the buyers, guys. So you really have to kind of reprogram your mind in a sense to making everything kind of a positive, making every interaction purposeful.
One thing that you said that I like, when you was mentioning, you said, I just lost my train of thought, but you said how we're all here to help you out, so use us, and it's free. For now. But it's free though, and I was going to go somewhere else with that, but just use us as we can.
Leverage us. Leverage us. You have a group of investors. Just because you're not there doesn't mean that we're not there.
That's what I'm going to say. Let as many, just because I'm going to say, don't look at it as you let stuff fall through your cracks. I look at it as learning. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The more deals, and the guy that I put you on that podcast with, Rock Cleef, it's a podcast that I've been listening to. He always says, the more deals come across your table, the better you'll get.
That's right.
You want to see deals. Entertain every deal.
That's what we're saying.
Especially at the beginning. Entertain every deal, and then you'll get sharp. Then you'll know, okay, that was a waste of my time. I remember Jay getting into it. Well, Jay, he's like, man, what's this? Oh my God, I can't believe I wasted so much time. I'm like, that is a part of the whole learning steps. And then now you know what not to do. And it's going to only keep adding on. And we're probably wasting more time as we get older and learn more. I'm like, damn, man, we could probably cut ways. But that's part of the growth, like Kobe said. The journey is the thing that he loved wasn't the championship; it was the journey to get through that championship.
Who you become in the process.
That's the best.
Who you become, and we all can become whoever we want to become. If we, again, the fear is going to be there. Robert Kiyosaki, he made a post. If you don't follow him on social media, follow him. He has a lot of good information that he puts out there. But and like I said, I'm partial because I went through his program. He talked about fear, how fear is paralyzing our society. And it is. It's paralyzing, and it doesn't have to be. It's okay to be afraid, what is fear, right? False evidence appearing real. It's not real. It's in your mind. It's a mindset that you have, right? That you're scared. I don't want to talk to this person, or I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I don't want to buy this property because the economy might crash. And all those things are true. They may come true, but they may not come true as well.
You might walk out here and get hit by a bus. That may true. You know what I'm saying? So if you live it like to live in fear, you're not living.
And nothing is you're gonna make it true. So like if you're scared and like like for example in my case, like there was an apartment complex that got sold and I had my eyes on it forever. Had a few guys kind of like look over the numbers and stuff. I was so scared because I had never dealt with so many like numbers, and I kind of just hesitated, and the next thing you know, under new management, just like closed, and I was like, and this is down the street from my house, this is in my backyard. I've been watching them apartment complexes for years. I was like, I went on Google and I searched up, and it said that they had water issues. Like the guys that go, once again, I did all my research. I went to Google and I found out that they had problems with their water heater and stuff like that. So I had leverage, But once again, I paralyzed. I got scared.
That was your first deal. I mean, it was one of the first ones that came across the table. So
learning lesson.
You spotted it. You spotted it. You spotted it.
And it goes back to it, training the eye. You know what I'm saying? Like, I naturally just drive around now because I've been doing this for training my eye for so long that I just naturally drive around and I start I'm to the point now. If I'm not in a rush, I'll stop in front of the house, pin the house, take a screenshot of the address, go home, and then I'll see if I can find them on the different sources that I have, on the different means that I have to find people's contact information, right? So guys, same thing you can do. Sometimes you might just be driving around. Why not stop? Oh my gosh, look at the grass in this house. Look, the roof's messed up. Oh man, yeah, definitely. This house, nobody lives here.
And you can also do it and another thing that would have been identified for you, it was in your backyard. That's one of the things that Robert Kiyosaki talks about, Rod Cleve talks about. When you're going to do especially your first investment, do it in the neighborhood you're comfortable with. Don't go, not always, or do it with somebody who you feel comfortable with. But if that was in your backyard, that was a positive. But again, I think that was just, you will get another deal like that, and it's going to be even better. But because you saw this and, you know what I'm saying, which is bait, right? My mom always said you gotta crawl before you walk before you walk.
I think it's about creating a reality that you want to live in. At the end of the day, we're all subject to our words and the actions that we put out there. So if we're doing the proper steps to make something happen, then it's going to come back around. It's full circle. Everything is full circle.
That is true.
So if you putting out the effort, you putting out the actions, it's going to come back around to you. It's going to pay off at the end.
That's right. Action cures fear.
And
I won't be scared.
I wanted to plug in one of my guys actually, Edward Chiles. He's actually on right now. Hey, buddy, I appreciate you. He actually saw that what we were doing, and he decided to invest with us already on a property that was closed on. So big shout out to my boy Edward.
Absolutely, big shot. Hopefully meet you soon here.
Yeah, I got my aunt and uncle in DC. They want to do some investment with us as well. Yeah. We got some big things coming 2020. So shout out to my aunt V, Uncle Steve.
So before, any more questions as far as, if you need anything, post them right now. Like I said, DM us with your email. But right now, we're going to get into that question we had talked about.
Oh, yeah. Get this question, get this free game. Free book.
We're going to make it easy this time. And basically what we're going to do is when you DM us your email, we're going to have a list of books. Because some books you might have already read and then want to give you a book that you already read. Because that doesn't benefit you necessarily if you already have it. So the question is going to be today is, just name one of the ways to the way you can find a property. Name one way in one of the processes that we talked about that you can find a property. So whoever answers it first, that's the one that's going to get the book.
All right. Let me check my Instagram. See if we can find me.
We got this streaming on a couple live feeds. So whoever gets it in first, we're going to be honest. And as we go, maybe we'll start having multiple questions, so that way multiple people can get a
skip trace.
Okay.
Skip trace. Who did that?
Who won that?
T-Mac.
Okay.
Skip trace. That is correct.
So you won it. So DM us, message us on Fire.
The Facebook. That was on Facebook. Oh yeah. So hit us up on Facebook, and we'll send you over that free book. Or the list of the couple of books you can choose from, whichever one you want, we'll send that out to you via audio. 2020, we're doing everything digital. We're not going to go to the mail store, mail out the book. We're going to send it right to you so you can enjoy it today on this beautiful Sunday.
So she dropped her email. Did you DM us her email?
Yeah, DM us your email.
Remember remember, drop your emails if you want the extra list for the foreclosure homes.
So she did say skip tracing. Want to go over what skip tracing was again? Just for
Yes.
somebody who haven't seen. So skip tracing is one of the ways that you can
find a property. And basically what that is, if you find an abandoned property or you ride by a property and you're interested and you think it's a good deal, you might be able to purchase. You basically use, like I said, I use Skip Genie. There's several other ones. You put the address in. There's other ways you can do it too. We'll email you, like I said, you DM us. We'll email you other ways you can do it. But Skip Genie, or sometimes you can Google it. All you're trying to do is get their name, their address, and if you get their phone number. When I say address, they always have the address of where they're at now, right? Because their current address. So you can mail something to them. You can put a mailer out to them, or you can drive by there, knock on the door, or you can try to, based on the address and the name, you can reach out to them on social media. You can try to, they have digital telephone books now. You can get their number on that. So there's lots of ways. Basically, what you're trying to do is get a hold of them. And that's what the Skip Trace does. Gives you the information to get a hold of them.
What I normally do is when I do skip tracing, like I drive my neighborhood. I live actually in this neighborhood, which is gentrifying. And what I do is, I remember hearing somebody say, if somebody has to buy a $10 tarp to put over their roof,
That's right.
which is the biggest, which protects you from rain and all types of. If you have to put something, that means you're in financial problems. Something's not right. Go knock on that person's door and see, hey, I'm just an investor. I work with the company. We help people who may be facing financial hardships. I know that you got a whole tarp on your roof during the rain and stuff. Something's not right. You don't have enough money to fix this issue, which is the main issue. So little stuff like that, the grass, that's another thing. If you see those yellow city signs on there, multiple stickers, that's another sign. Violation stickers and stuff. Signs. Get the address, skip trace. If you have money, they have companies that do it for you. If you don't have no money, you got to do the legwork yourself. That's right. So you got to be like me. I do the legwork myself.
You got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere. But that is the way. And once all you need is one deal, you guys. One deal get you enough capital, then you can go into the flipping stages. Because if you don't want to stay in the wholesale for forever. So. And
then like Derek said, if you have a small amount of money and you want to get into the passive investment to help you build your business, you can make a little money that way. So there's so many ways. So money should not be an excuse anyway. That's not saying it won't be. It shouldn't be an excuse. Again, we're here for you guys to provide you the service. And
usually what I tell I'm sorry, I keep going checking my Instagram. Usually what I tell my people, anybody who's trying to get into wholesaling or flipping, I say, you find a good deal, you won't have a problem finding the buyer. I promise you that. You get a good deal on the contract, you'll have a problem fighting buyers. That you get a good property for $50,000 and you try to sell it for $60 and it's worth $200. You're not gonna have a problem.
You gotta go get it first.
The hardest part,
action.
Yeah, action. And the hardest part is finding the property. What would you say?
That's the hardest part.
But finding an investor you got groups on Facebook, on Instagram that nothing but investors. I'm in so many groups on Facebook, so it's people. It's investors everywhere. But so finding the property is the key.
What Courtney just said, though, is the reason why we want to start with wholesaling is because what we know, or what we believe to know, is that once everything starts trickling down, some people are going to be losing their house.
That's right.
Unfortunately. So if you already understand how to wholesale, you can take advantage of getting some of those properties people are losing.
Or if you know somebody might lose one right now, and you might not, give us a call. Hit us in a DM. I will walk you through every step. Ross will walk you through. Jay, Derek, we're all here. We'll be able to walk you through every step. But just get into conversation. I just wish I could tell y'all how that is the most challenging part of it. And if that's not challenging to you,
yeah, thumbs up, absolutely.
Thumbs up, because that is the hardest part, is getting communication, just having a talk with somebody. Not even trying to set them to sign a contract. Can I just sit down and talk with you? That is hard when you're a stranger. Meeting another stranger wanted to talk about their biggest investment, which is their house.
Yeah.
So again, that's what we're trying to get you to learn, because again, that's why we're trying to prepare you for what's about to happen. Because what's about to happen is you're going to see a lot of for sale signs up in your neighborhood. I promise you.
And don't get it wrong, there's still going to be people with money. And I don't care what the economy does.
There's
still people with money that's going to buy houses.
Some of y'all still buying right now.
Yeah.
Some of y'all buying stuff every day. So y'all ain't stopped y'all from buying. You can buy on the lower level. That's all. People still buying.
So don't worry about that. There's going to be some buyers.
Work on us getting these properties. Working on talking to you. Sometimes I will also say, because we got a little time, I will also say start off with your circle, your inner circle, your family.
That's right.
Who do you know? Like, don't. It's always hard to just get somebody outside to trust you. Start with who already trusts you, who already know you. Hey, what's going on? I mean, grandma, does she have a will in place? Does she have a probate? Is her estate planning in proper setting? You know, is she ready in case she passed? What is this going to happen? Because guess what? What's going to happen to Big Mama's house?
That's right.
That is, you know, like, what is
most time the kids don't want it. They
the
want
kids
the money.
don't
They
want
don't
it.
want the house.
And that is your opportunity to let your first deal start at home. It don't have to be outside. You don't have to. Right? Your first deal could come right from your inner circle.
That's right.
Your first deal. You just have to be knowledgeable.
And before we
go ahead.
go ahead, no, go ahead.
And one big thing is that there's two sides to every coin, you know. So like somebody, because like you know, like let's say a relative, it's not gonna be the easiest conversation just off the bat, right? But my thing is, there's two sides to every coin because somebody could either be like, oh look at him, he's trying to take advantage, and then this person's losing their property or whatever, or you could be like, you know what, I'm actually helping that person out because my thing is the way we like, the way Z kind of has put me on here, Corny too, is we go in and we make sure we add a whole bunch of value to the person and we make sure that they win in the long run, right? Because think about it. Guys, if you go up to somebody, you're gonna lose your house regardless, right? Like you're gonna be on the street anyways. And then you can tell your aunt or uncle or relative or your small circle, whoever it is, to be like, look, this guy will buy your house out and give you $10,000 for you can go
For your next chapter in life.
Next chapter in life. You know what I'm saying?
You're $10,000 to help pay for at least 6 months.
Yeah, you know, like you're helping them at that point because if not, guess what's gonna happen? They're gonna lose their house. Their credit's gonna go to the downside. Like you know, just mentally, just imagine how that's gonna affect them. So you can save them so much hardship just by simply plugging us in with them.
You're talking about family members, right?
Family member, or uncle,
because
friend, you know, whoever it is.
That is true. Because if your aunt or uncle or family member or someone you love is facing hardship and they maybe going through foreclosure, selling the house is actually better than going through foreclosure. Absolutely. I'm not even gonna lie. If you can make some money, even if it's a little bit of money, because like I said, when you face reality and you know that this house is going to be up for sale on that first Tuesday of the next month, which is in every state, that's a hard pill to swallow. So you can either try to make something out of it, right? And especially depending on the neighborhood, you can get creative. Real estate, that's why I love real estate, because you can get so creative of how to make everybody win. And that's what we're here for. So just start with your inner circle. And what's that other thing we said for the week? Every conversation
needs to have a purpose.
Needs to have a purpose, I feel like.
And Derek, law of attraction, when he started saying that, because that's what I was going to actually end with, what he said. Basically, given a scenario in this house that we're sitting in, Courtney found the house, right? We were able to, the wholesalers that were trying to get the house from her, we're trying to, basically get it for nothing. We were able to come in based on the numbers, right? It's all about numbers. But most times, there's so much, if you buy it right, and if you know the game, if you understand how, what it takes to fix it up, to buy it, and what you can resell it for, that you can offer more, right? So we were able to offer more to the lady. So
then what somebody else was,
that's right.
Then another investor was offering.
It was what, at least $5,000 plus more than the other investor was going to offer. So, and I say that because when you're going into this, don't think about how much I can get or how much I can make. We talked about that last time. Come with, like you said, speak with a purpose, but also have a purpose that you want to help somebody. Because you both can win. Everybody can win. So don't think of it, I want to get this property. I know that, I'm going to wholesale it for 70, but I'm trying to get it for 50. Come on. That ain't fair for that person that's losing their house. Let them walk away with something too. You still make money, the investor still makes money, everybody wins. So that's the mindset you want to have when you're dealing with real estate, wholesaling, any business in general. But right now it's at 1:57, and we have to close out with any questions, closing comments, guys.
Any questions? Let me give it a second. We'll go check my Instagram just to see.
Guys, familiarize yourself on this crowdfunding. If you're not familiar with it yet, it's basically a way that you can actually, double your money in the bank. I mean, if you're really thinking about interest rates on how much money that your money is gaining in your bank account from interest rates, 3%, 4%, 5%, but in reality, you can actually, up that to 20 or 30% through crowdfunding, which is what we offer. So,
this is 20, 30%. In a term of 6 months. We're not talking about the whole year. We're not talking about APY. We're talking about the term of 4 to 6 months. So potentially that could be 60%. That could be 40%. You really got to sit here and think about it, guys. Like that can really, really, really grow. Where are you going to get a 40% return? Tell me, like in a year, nowhere. You know, so like I said, like, you know, like something that does this is kind of put us all in. This is making sure that everybody kind of like eats and everybody wins. You know, because like there's so much abundance in this world, in my opinion, for us not to like make sure that everybody's good, right? But guys, like, you know, the purpose. I said, I mean, with the every conversation has a purpose. And one last thing I'll kind of leave with on this is, on a real note, guys, when you go in there to meet these people, really try to help them, really try to get to know them, really try to build like an actual connection with them, right? Because in this, like, I know they one day I'll go into detail with my situation with my rental property, right, and how I got that. But guys, I'm gonna tell you something. The homeowner who sold me the house, it was an inherited property, right? So the guy who actually sold me my first house, he actually had a better offer from somebody else. But ever since we had built such a good relationship, he rather had done business with me. Just because he was like, you know what, this is a young hustler that's trying to come up, and he's young and he's doing great things already, right? So guys, play your part, play your leverage yourself. You know, like what are you good at? What little thing is going to make you stand out from everybody else? Because this guy could have potentially got $10,000 from somebody else, but he was like, you know what, I like this guy, so be likable. You know, I like build a relationship. Like actually go in there wanting to help somebody, because I told him, like, I want to see how I can help you, you know, and he was going to clean the house out for me, and I was like, nope, I'll clean it out for you. He said that he was going to drive down to Houston. No, I'll drive to San Antonio until they have this contract signed, you know. Make it happen for yourself, because nobody's going to make it happen for you, you know. You can sit here and you can watch this little webinar 6 times, you know, you can hop on every single weekend, but if you're just sitting here twiddling your fingers, you know, doing nothing, like, it's just knowledge, you know, it's pointless knowledge at that point. Until applied knowledge is what's going to get you to the next level, right? But that's just something I wanted to leave with.
Jay, any closing comment?
Guys, just have an open mind. You don't have an open mind about anything, you're not really going to create any type of passive income or actually see those opportunities. That's the most important thing. I think it is the mindset and how you be able to recognize things and actually be able to, like, you know, I don't know, recognize these opportunities, like I said. So that's the last thing I want to, you know, leave on.
For me, I'll say that, and I forgot to say this at the beginning, as you get on, just every time you get on, and when you're a person that's been on a couple times, no, every time you get on, you have a business, we want you to drop your business, what you do, you know, what services you provide, things like that. Drop that. We want to make this a platform where we can feed off each other. So if you have a business, before we cut off, go ahead and drop that information. You know, what your email is, your website, whatever you got, drop that information. We can support each other. Courtney, any closing?
No, just let's have a great week. Knowledge is key. Read, continue to read. Stay in the know. Try to read between the lines, because I feel like that's, you know, the more knowledge that you have, the better you can make your decisions. So just data more. You soak that all up.
Absolutely. Don't forget us to DM us.
And follow our Instagram page too.
T-Mac.
Yeah, so we can get you that.
Yeah, follow us on Instagram, follow us on YouTube. Make sure you check out all the videos. They're going to be on YouTube as well. If you did not catch it live, we can find all our live videos on YouTube.
But we got you, Miss Mac. We'll get you that book, girl.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.